Welcome to This Just In, the show bringing you the latest advancements in healthcare, strategy, innovation, and public policy. And now, for the fastest voice in healthcare, here's your host, Justin Barnes.
Welcome back to This Just In Radio Show, broadcasting live from HIMSS 25 in the AMD booth in sunny Las Vegas. Very excited to introduce my next guest, a new friend of the show, Carl Brown, General Manager, Business Development with Supermicro. Welcome to the show, Carl.
Thanks, Justin. How you doing?
Fantastic, fantastic. When did you get in town?
We came in late last night.
Late last night?
Yeah.
Okay. Where'd you fly in from?
San Jose, California, of course.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sure.
Silicon Valley.
Absolutely. I lived in Palo Alto for a year. Actually lived in Palo Alto for a year, and then also 201 Harrison Street in the city in San Francisco for another year or so.
Very nice.
Yeah, know the area fairly well.
Yeah, very happy to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
You got it anytime, my friend. Tell me about your shoes. Tony was like, you're loving your shoes.
Well, a little Givenchy, never heard nobody.
I love them. Also, it's also very smart. We have a lot of steps around here and being in very comfortable shoes, which I am not in. So you're much smarter than I am.
So, that was the thing. That was the conversation with a couple of my team members. They're like, hey, what are you wearing to HIMSS? I'm like, tennis shoes. It's another trade show. We're going to do a lot of walking.
Absolutely.
So designer tennis shoes is the thing to do.
Yeah. This is actually my 25th HIMSS, but I need to learn how to wear tennis shoes better because these suckers. The good thing is I'm sitting a lot, and I am wearing my AMD. You see that, Ryan? I'm wearing my AMD Booth. Look at
that's quite the
AMD
style.
Socks. Yes,
that's quite the style there.
I love it.
Yep.
Alrighty, so we'll go ahead and dive into the show now since we have the fun stuff out of the way. First of all, I guess, what are your goals for being here at HIMSS 25? Before we dive in deep. What are your
really,
goals
we're trying to see what the latest and greatest trends are.
Yep.
So many companies, and within the segment, right, you have a segment of verticals of verticals, right?
Yep.
So healthcare providers, payers, you've got life sciences and things of that nature. So a lot of what's going on in the healthcare services and systems are being displayed out here over the next 3 days.
Yeah.
So want to really see what's going on, dive deep in the agentic workflows that they're doing, AI trends that are happening, and how those services are being delivered and innovated.
Awesome. How long have you been in healthcare? How many years have you been in healthcare?
I've been a more horizontal healthcare guy. So I've sold software for years.
Yeah.
I've been a part of Intel for 14 years. So I've always been a horizontal solutions guy.
Yeah.
In healthcare, this is our first look. So Supermicro is going through a lot of verticalization.
Yes.
So I'm pioneering that on my team.
Yeah.
And this is our kind of first splash into healthcare, life sciences.
Love it. Well, you got a phenomenal partner here with AMD. So what progress are you most excited to see in the industry today in healthcare?
Oh my God, there's so many, but if I can think about just, one or few, it would just be the introduction of AI in all of these, particular segments, specifically in the life sciences and drug discovery area. Pathology specifically, and how quickly things are being innovated in that space. It's exciting to watch.
So I'll give you a second. I don't usually do sales pitches at all on air. However, what is Supermicro? Tell me a little bit more about Supermicro, because I actually personally, I've heard the brand, but what exactly do you do?
My role or us?
Supermicro, as a company,
We're the race cars for AI.
Okay.
Right? We build the engines. We build the cars that power this entire AI transformation that's happening.
Love it.
Right? So there's 3 categories. You can kind of look at it in 3 different categories with AI. You basically have your parameters, right? And then you have your data sets, and then you have compute. Okay. So we're in the compute area. Okay. We have some of the most innovative, bleeding edge compute platforms that are powering the entire revolution, liquid cooling, and then data center building blocks with our server building blocks. Okay. So it's an open way. You can have it your way. Yeah. And AMD is a big part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So you use, obviously, AMD's processors and all that good stuff to fuel your centers.
Oh, yeah. So, the AMD brand new Turin is an excellent platform. Yep. We've got their GPUs, their MI300s, and their MI325Xs, powering that next wave of innovation with AI as well.
Love it, love it. So what trends are you seeing in the industry today?
Biggest ones, as I mentioned before, is drug discovery. Yep. And how quickly drugs that, used to take us years. Right. To put together. Yeah. And now, really, it's a matter of months. And the higher end platforms that you can create the models that are being created with less side effects, and the more introductions, the new introductions of the drugs that'll treat things like cancer, diabetes, and other like dangerous and harmful diseases to cure some of those is actually really exciting.
Yeah, actually, that was my dinner last night. So we work also with AWS pretty closely, and one of the dinners that we fostered last night or helped host was around cancer registries, and a lot of the academic medical centers and researchers kind of coming together to collaborate, specifically in pediatric cancer and cancers wrapped around that. So it's actually fascinating. And
one of the biggest I've seen so far is the announcement just this year with, I think it was like NVIDIA and Mayo Clinic, or did something. Mayo Clinic's doing something around what they're called digital humans.
Yep. Yes. Yes.
So they're gonna like imagine a digital twin of yourself that they can practice, do drug treatment experimentation on with surgical precision. That is amazing.
Well, and I love that because, I mean, in a couple of my guests before, we did a lot of shows already today, and a couple of my guests brought up that we're going to have these digital twins, basically, and that's going to what that's going to bring to us, and how we can learn and how we can interact and learn about ourselves and create the best care plans in partnership with our providers. That's all on the way. It's basically happening today in a lot of ways at a small scale, but it's about to go mainstream.
Exactly.
So
yeah,
I love it. Very exciting. So what are a few best practices that you would offer or that you've seen to navigate those trends that you talked about there?
So, engage early and often, right? You have to be a part of this, so workflows, and then creating like partnerships, right? Because what we're finding is that it's sort of segmented and fragmented amongst the healthcare space, right? Everybody with data sovereignty. Kaiser may have a different set. Johnson & Johnson has their own set. So you need a sort of a conglomerate, right?
Yep.
And you have to have a collaborative approach. So these partnerships between NVIDIA and Mayo Clinic and these other, it's needed so that you can unlock the data, right? And bring this data together and actually create a sort of a conglomerate consortium.
Right.
For best practices, right? And guide rails and health and security, like HIPAA compliancy. That's so much. If AI is to be successful, we definitely have to have guardrails and compliance.
Yeah, you're actually speaking from a good friend of mine, John Halamka, is actually my most consistent guest, or at least my most frequent guest, is John Halamka from Mayo Clinic. So he brought up Mayo a couple of times, but also John created this help co-chair and found the Coalition for Health AI, and that's exactly creating these guardrails for AI and responsible use of AI inside society, inside of our countries, our companies and countries, and on and so forth. So, but you brought up Mayo because they're phenomenal partners in what they do.
That's right.
So, love it. So, thinking beyond today, what's a key strategy or best practice we need to be ready to navigate in 2 to 3 years from now? What do you think?
Oh God. 2 to 3 years is so
it's a long time away. I know, I get it in healthcare.
So best practices that I can think of is, to really define the value that you want to derive out of AI.
Yes.
Right?
Great
because that's going to be the sustainable foundation for you, right? So if you don't have a vision or strategy around it, you're just sort of following the trends, you're going to kind of be dependent, right? And so creating your own value practice, your own value chain for what you're doing with your data and models is going to sustain, because now you're going to have things like Jevons paradox that actually raises all boats, right? And it's going to be proliferated everywhere.
Right.
And there's going to be saturation or data overwhelming. Like, it's going to be completely overwhelming, and you're going to get sort of lost in the sauce without your own, take on it. Right. So you got to have that practice. You got to create the best practice, that one that creates value for you and your customers. So that theme, rising tide raises all boats, was the theme from our dinner last night. Literally, and like you were in the room. How did I miss this dinner? I know. And then you bring up John Alana, you bring up Mayo Clinic. I'm like, this guy's like you're part of our show. I don't even know it somehow. This is pretty cool. You're everywhere. At least your wisdom is, for sure. So I got in the kind of the closing minute or here, a couple minutes here. What do you hope to do, last couple of days here in Las Vegas and with the show, and what do you want to achieve here? So literally, at this particular show, it's really understanding and helping our customers and at large understand what the compute platform is, right? And why it's so critical to the outcomes and the workflows and the things that they're doing here, right? I was with Honeywell just a little while ago talking to them about, well, what do you do? And I'm like, well, you know, we kind of make the race cars.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay. And so explaining to them what the data center building blocks are, what our compute platform does, and how quickly it you know, creates innovation for them. They're like, oh my God, I had no idea.
Right.
So if I can do some more evangelism of Supermicro as a brand, as well as, you know, our compute platforms, our portfolio, that's what I'm hoping to do.
Yeah, I mean, I that's why I asked you in the beginning, tell me more about Supermicro, because I hear your name a lot from Tony. Tony Nunes, he loves you guys. But I'm glad we got this chance to catch up. Is there one or two companies that you would love to meet while you're here, or that you plan to meet while you're here? Who's that? Outside of AMD.
So Epic,
yes.
you know, largest, you know, platform,
EHR,
for healthcare. So they're number one. And then I saw, you know, I'd like to meet up with ServiceNow. They're doing a lot with agentic AI workflows in their delivery platform. I'd like to understand more about that.
Yeah. Fantastic. Those are great vendors here for sure.
Right.
Carl Brown, thank you so much for joining us on air, and we look forward to having you back soon.
All right.
Appreciate you, man.
Justin.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great job. Fantastic.